All right. Yes. You know what time it is. Monday night, live in the Counselor's Corner for another open court discussion. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me as my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
That growl for the last 3 weeks. Been something else. Tonight, March 30th, 9 p.m., we will be discussing the topic of raising the bar, parents growing up for their kids. Welcome to the Counselor's Corner. Tonight, we're tackling a tough topic parents need to grow up. Yeah, that's right. Need to grow up. It's a conversation about breaking cycles, healing wounds, and modeling healthy growth for our kids. Let's dive in and explore what it means to be a growth oriented parent. The topic will hit home and shake up some households, but to grow, you must face some uncomfortable times. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to share with some growing parent, to share with another parent, to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. I think we're sitting at about 1,055 subs, so slowly trying to get through that, trying to get to that 1.1K mark. Still approaching about total on the channel, like almost close to 470,000 views. So I just can't wait to hit that half a million. Something about that to say a half a million is impressive to me, and just think when it hits the million mark. So I just anybody know me, I'm big on competition, big on numbers, so that kind of gets me excited to know that it's approaching that. Not everyone could say that. Not everyone could say they had a million of anything, a million of anything going on. We certainly can't say it financially, um, but hey, hopefully one day that does transpire. But here we are tonight, um, March 30th. Yeah, March just flew by. Almost out of March, getting ready to head into April. Keep telling y'all, time don't stand still. It just keeps on moving, despite some of us maybe moving at a slow pace, but it's not going to stop and wait for you. So, any household breaking news? Again, shout out to Michigan. Made it, and Roddy Gale from Niagara Falls made it to the Final Four in Indy coming up. They'll be representing, playing against the tough Arizona Wildcats. Shout out to my nephew Karan DuBois in the Buffalo Extreme. They'll be headed to Atlanta to face, I think, the Nashville Aces. So they made it to the Final Four as well. So, like I said, it's always a pleasure to see some of the young Royal Kings hooping and following their dreams, and getting to the next level and doing some things that a lot of people will never be able to say that they done, no matter what level it is. And like I said last week, once a champion, always a champion. So their whole mission is to be the top dog. They didn't win some regional championships, divisional championships, but to say you're a national champion, you'll remember that for the rest of your life. That'll be something you can always smile about and always throw out there. And believe me, even when we won the state championship and the federal championship back in the days, when I stepped on to the Nye University campus, I had a swag about me. I had a swag. Like, shit, I played for the state champions. I ain't thinking about none of y'all hoopers out here. We could go at it. We could. Not that I was a star player, but in all reality, if I wouldn't have quit in the 11th grade, I was the sixth best player. But I took it for what it was worth, and just dealt with it, and life goes on. But yeah, it's something about that championship mentality that transpires and helps you with every phase of your life, because your confidence level is at all time high. What's going on, Big Bad Wolf? What's good with
Man,
you?
I would follow that up with a four-letter word. What that means is work. You're not afraid of it. You don't run from it. You embrace it, and you'll find out in the long run, no matter what endeavor it is, as long as you work toward it, more than likely you will succeed. Now, what level of success you have, that's going to be predicated on how intense the work is. It is. It gets no simpler. I can claim to be a part of two championship teams. One, of course, I was talking about is track at LaSalle. The other one that I really mentioned because I didn't have that bigger role in was our 17U team that we had at 13th Street when we won there, and we had so many players back then that we fielded two teams. So we had a 13th Street team A and a 13th Street team B. That's how rugged basketball was back there. Everybody played. Didn't matter how good you were. You got on the squad. You learn the game from half court trap zones all the way up to what you see now. So like you said, shout out to Roddy, man. And it's a condition. It's a condition. Oh, it's a condition and a tradition in the city, man. That if you're not on the hardwood, or in our case, the hardwood and the asphalt, you can't talk. But nowadays, these younger kids, and this is part of what we're gonna talk about today. Nowadays, these younger kids, they're not put in those positions, and it's not necessarily due to to what they've done. They're kids. They're not necessarily supposed to fund their own way through life. They're not necessarily supposed to produce results if they're not given the opportunity. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in the podcast.
Well, some of them are on the ground in the concrete. I seen that disturbing video of that fight at Shorty's during brunch time yesterday. It's ridiculous. It's just flat out ridiculous. And I hear the people comments, oh, they're not from Niagara Falls, they're from Rochester. Who the hell would spend money on gas in this day and age to come up, eat some breakfast, only to get into altercations? And it hasn't even hit. Hot weather hasn't even hit yet. So, as they keep saying, these YNs and all of that stuff, buckle up, people. It's out of control. Uh, we already know we're going through like, you know, inflation with price, everything being high. People frustrated. It's not like they're getting paid no more money, but everything is going up: gas, food, clothing, and everything. I just think people are losing their damn minds. And for one, you got to put restrictions on these places. If you want to have something nice and you want to keep it that way, then you have to have dress codes and you have to have a certain age and you have to stick to it. Even though the money might be with the young folks, 'cause they definitely gonna come out, but I'd rather deal with something that's gonna have some longevity. Uh, and you're gonna end up making your money maybe somewhere down the future than to trying to appeal and appease to others. It's gonna come in and spend money, but they're gonna tear the shit up after they have a few drinks and all that stuff. So, and people, you got to be careful out there. And again, I think was it last week I said grown people 40, 50, stop
Mm-hmm.
intermingling with these 20, 25-year-old people. You're not as quick to get out. You don't want to catch no strays or get involved in something that you don't want to be a part of. Stop intermingling with them. It ain't that serious to go out. It's really not. I don't give a damn what type of hard work week you had or whatever the case. You get with your group of people. Yeah. um chip in on some damn food and get some drinks and just chill with it because you're 40, 50, 60 years old. There's no reason to be out with some 20-year-olds. None whatsoever. Now, I'm tired of talking y'all to death about that, but it's like it's serious because it just lets you know your kind of mental state or where you at and what you value at this point in your life.
Yeah, I was at my second job today. I was coming back from um, coming back from a meeting that we was having. I was telling the young cat, I said, man, I said, right now, your future is in your hands. The people you need to be hanging out with, pastors, reverends, and everybody reverend adjacent. Anybody else, I don't care if it's family, friends, if they not hanging out with them, you need to disassociate yourself from them. I said, you need to start hitting up libraries, finding out the things that you want to do, taking out books. You got 2 months to make your reputation look as Christ-like as possible. So when you appear in this position again, the powers that be look at you and say you're not the same person. You've truly changed. It's rugged out here, man, and it's rugged out here for people who have parents that haven't grown up. You know, they still think that you know they can be the YOLO parent, they can be the friend parent, they can be the parent that's lackadaisical, that's hands off, that's let him do it or let her do it. A matter of fact, I got something that I want to read that well, yeah, I'll kick it off now. The question, and shout out to Blair Nash, he's always doing a bang up job on his page. If you don't know who he is, put his name in the Facebook search engine, and he should pop right up. The question goes: how do men grow up with single moms and still have no respect for women? Now, very, very interesting. Can be thought provoking depending on who you are. There was an answer that continued from another uh, part that I won't read. But Christine L. Lowe says this. I agree. Black women traditionally, not sure why fully, that is its cultural norm, but for whatever reason have loved their boys and raised their girls. Thus, we have the surge of black women in education and earnings and career success that outpaces their black male counterparts. I was subject to this dynamic in my own nuclear family. My mother was widowed when I was 2. My brother was 3, and my mother was pregnant with my sister. I'm sorry. The girls were made to clean, learn to cook, and have a number of regular list of chores and responsibilities in the home. My brothers ate, slept, and played in the streets. Around the ages of 16 to 17, my brother was given condoms by my mother, who got herself pregnant and married when she was in the 11th grade and told not to have it at all. These girls are taught chastity and to beware of gamers, a reputation for being promiscuous. Don't be no hoe. Don't bring me no babies up in here. I questioned my mother about this and asked her, what about someone else's daughter being taken advantage by my brother? My mother's response, that's their parents' problem. Fast forward, the success and sustainability of both my sister and me surpasses that of my brother. My brother's treatment of women is absolutely shameful and deplorable. A lot of people wonder why, and that's not uncommon in black households, but a lot of people wonder why. There's a snippet. For whatever reason, we can trace this back to the post-slavery era, Jim Crow era, however you want to look at it. Because boys, especially black boys, were never expected to excel academically. We covered that topic on the show before. Black males were supposed to be beasts of burden. We were never supposed to be educated to the level of our male peers of other ethnicities. We were never expected to mount anything. We were only expected to be there to produce genetic material and to be workhorses. So it really should be no surprise when that type of mentality permeates the black home, especially one where marriage is not the centerpiece. And we talked about relationships and CEOs. The same thing goes for families. What do you want of the family name? And we were taught, I don't know about David, but I certainly was, don't do anything that brings any discredit or shame to your name. Because then that was all we had, legacy. legacy. We coming from a condition and a place where legacy was attributed to somebody else's last name. We didn't have any legacy to to try and produce or try to perpetuate or try and cover up if it was bad. We're 2 generations removed from slavery. Yeah, we're just trying to get enough food to eat so we're not starving. And I know somebody will say, well, doesn't that include morals? You can't eat morals. I can't eat good behavior. And a lot of black men, when they came home from the respective World Wars One and Two, they were the most behaved people in the country. And it's still some of them met with death. They met with ill treatment. That they met with government obstruction in terms of the benefits and rights that they should have been given, i.e., the GI Bill. So they never got the opportunity to place a foundation upon which to raise kids in order to break the cycles of this kind of treatment or to even stop it before it began. So it becomes difficult when you move to generation and generation to break the habits of those that came before you when that's all they know. You got some fathers out here who have produced multiple children, and you ask them what a W-2 is, they couldn't tell you. Ask them what a 401k is, they couldn't tell you. They've never been taught. They've never grown up. Passport, got a driver's license. No, but I can drive. Well, yeah, we know you can drive, but that's the gateway to getting a criminal record. A lot of people don't realize this is simple things that a lot of parents didn't do the right way. And because they didn't do them the right way, they can't teach their kids how to do them the right way. Go to college? Sure. Who's going to teach them to fill out their financial aid? Who's going to teach them how to prepare to study? Who's going to teach them anything related to that? Nobody. I know when and this is no shade to my mother. My mother didn't go to college. I had to go, and fortunate enough for I was with the EOP summer program, so they walked us through how to do the FAFSA. They walked us how to do all of this stuff, so we weren't necessarily held back. But that was a generation that actually chose to do something. We saw part of what was going on in the lives of our peers who didn't have what we had. So they had to struggle. We were saying, we had the opportunity to get out. We had the opportunity to make something of our lives. And the good thing about the EOP program was it didn't discriminate, male or female. The program was there to assist you, and that was where most of us found other people that looked like us that were what would be considered to be upwardly mobile. So you look out into the world, you say, damn, we, us black folks, and I'm not excluding anyone else, we aren't actually what the media says we are. We aren't actually what the movies depicted us as, pimps, hustlers, but dope dealers. We are more than that. But because we don't control our own narrative, and we don't control necessarily our own media, we have a perception of us that is inaccurate at best and designed to impugn at worst. So when we get out into the world and we start to make something of ourselves, we start to produce, we realize that it may not be good enough. but we still got to push forward, despite our parents being teens.
Got a couple comments came through. Daphne said, I tried to dismantle that with my boys. I taught them to cook clean and be smart. I even sent them to etiquette classes. And good for you, because a lot of these boys, they need all of those trainings, and we always talk about it at a maximum that this stuff should be in schools and everything. It should be a whole different model. If you can't get it from home, you got to get it from somewhere. And if you're not getting it from home or school, guess what? Then you're going to have a community with a bunch of deviants running around. It and then that's when you see murder rates as high and criminal activity, because they have nothing to measure with. They haven't been taught uh, the finer things or basic social skills that you just can't. We can't just take for granted now in this day and age that, oh, parents are supposed to teach them that. And you know, this page with my community, they do a lot of going back and forth. One of the things that I about
You're muffled, David. Okay, there you
I
go.
said it was one of, said it was one of the things that I had put, but I went on as anonymous to talk about the curriculum and how things need to change, and it need to be 50% academics, 50% social. And a lot of people respond, it was like, oh, social, they have to learn that from homes. Well, we just can't, we can't assume that they're getting that. So to me, as educators or whole systems, when you talk about doing needs assessments, then why isn't anybody looking at that to say this is what these kids need? This is what this generation of kids need. So we have to make some changes. But that's bigger than me. Christine Lowe said, "Hello." There's also, and thanks for joining. There's also a part of the Willie Lynch letter that addresses how the black woman is to deal with her children. Girls one way and boys another way. So we got a lot of good comments going on, and we'll address that all. Daphne said, in reality, they had to fight their father, not allowing them to have that boys will be boys attitude, and trauma informed care too, with restorative practices infused. Yeah, all of that stuff, restorative practice, trauma informed, all of that, all of these things need to be discussed. We cannot keep using this old model of what's being taught and think it has relevance to these kids. Like they're in a day and age of technology, and, and they see things at a rapid pace than we ever would see it. So you have to kind of step up the game and get with the times and see what some of their shortcomings are, unless that's your whole plan to say, hey, we ain't giving them that. We just gonna let them get cut a fool out and shit, kill each other, do whatever. But we not. You gonna keep you. It seems like the plan is to keep people blind, deaf, and dumb,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But to go further along with this conversation, some of the points as far as parents needing to grow up. When you talk about modeling self care, um, it isn't selfish to put yourself with self preservation as a parent to try to be the best person that you can be. It's essential. When parents prioritize their own growth, they show kids that self uh, awareness and self improvement are lifelong journeys. Because all too often people will say, well, I can never do this, or I didn't do that because I had to do everything for my kids. My kids come first. Well, if you ain't the best that you can be, what are you actually giving them? When you take time and have a balance to work on yourself, then it can inspire them, and you can give them the best. But if you always putting it and putting everything to you looking broke down and you raggedy and you can't advance or do anything because you're not taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, what do you think's going to come out of it? What's going to happen? So that's just one of the things. Then I'm going to touch on another point, and then Herb can address anything I just said. Unpacking emotional baggage can be a game changer. Acknowledging and working through our own issues help us respond, not react to our kids' needs. You can't be the best at, you can't be nothing to anyone unless you clean yourself up and you work through some of the baggage and, as Daphne said, the trauma that you went through. And a lot of times we just sweep it under the rug and say, hey, I'm fine, everything's good. And I always talk about that even in relationships when people say, I don't need to know about nobody past, or I don't want to know about any of that, to things start coming out, that dust start coming up while you're in a relationship and you never knew certain things, but you got to try to work it out by any means. Some people choose the path of, a higher power, going to church, um, and things of that nature to try to heal themselves. Some people actually seek out and uh, have a counselor or a therapist. Some people resort to like have a close knit family that they share things with, and they kind of open up and kind of release some of the baggage. So whatever way, whatever works to make you heal, but you should be working towards that. You can't have the mentality, oh, that was 20 years ago, that was 30 years ago, I'm fine. You never dealt with it. You never dealt with it because sooner or later it's going to impact your children. So you have to think about that. You want to try to be the best that you can be because it impacts them. Whether your tolerance level may be low and they may be looking at you like, damn, mom, dad, always angry about something, always bitching about something. Damn, they ever happy or then when they get older, they start saying little stuff. Oh, she needs some dick or whatever, or he need a damn woman or something. They trying to hook you up with somebody because they see that like you're miserable and they can't stand being around you. So they're trying to go stay the night at somebody's house on the weekends and say, I do not want to look in their face all damn weekend. I got to get out of here. And they start making their own plans, which usually impact you because you may be the one who have to run them around or get them money, but they're always on the go. You know why? Because you're unpleasant to be around. They don't want to. They don't want to be there because you always bitching and complaining about something. Something. I'll leave it at that for now.
I was like I mentioned earlier, I was at a work training today. There's a survey. There's a self assessment now, so you can't get it right, you can't get it wrong, because we always talking about in order for anyone to talk about the good and bad within themselves, they have to know themselves. The only problem is a lot of people lie to themselves. Now, you can say whatever reason you can come up with why people lie to themselves, but the only way an individual can't lie to themselves is when you do something like this because your answers are on paper. And I remember we did this one time in here with Teal Swan's the I think it was the Blue Cube, and I have to go back and dig that one up because I think that's very telling. And I think from time to time we all need to take a, a look at ourselves and be self-centered for a minute so we can see what it is that we have that are positives and what are negatives. Now, understand what positive and negatives mean. Positive and negatives don't necessarily mean good and bad. It means what you do better than some other things. And that's a good thing. This is called VIA Character Survey. You can go to viacharacter.org and it should pull that right up. And I think it's maybe about 50 or 60 questions. somewhere about there, and take that test and sit down and not necessarily analyze it to see what you're good or bad at, but just look at it and see what the results tell you about you that you may have known or you may not have known. That way, when you encounter a problem, you understand how you try and solve the problem because we get kids that come into situations like David mentioned earlier because they're using technology far more than we have. They come into problems and things that we never had to deal with at their age. We didn't have to deal with cyberbullying. We didn't have to worry about somebody bothering us that we didn't want to be bothered with. We just close the door and go somewhere else where they're not. With the advent of phones, you can be tracked virtually anywhere unless you leave that phone alone. Put that phone down and go do something. Most people nowadays, that phone is an appendage, and they can't walk without their phone. You take people's phone from for 5 minutes, they're not able to function. We have to arm these kids. We have to arm our kids with enough information so that they can function without the use of technology and being tethered to it as much as they are. Because you'll find that they stress less, they value other people's opinions a little bit less, and they're not driven by clicks, what's popular, and they're not trying to go viral. Everybody wants to have that viral moment. Everybody wants to be the center of attention. Why? So everybody can be in your business. So you can't walk about the streets in anonymity. So you can't. So you just can't walk into a restaurant, sit down at a table with your significant other, and have a meal without being disturbed. I will tell you, I've often pined for some notoriety. Then I realized, do I really want to live like that? Do I really want to be in a fishbowl? No. I'm gonna take my 2 bits, go out, get me something to eat, go grab a movie, go home, and be cool. But a lot of these people can't do that because they think being famous is the way. And I'm not here to tell you that it isn't. Some people want that lifestyle. And hey, if you can work to get it, shout out to you. We talked about it earlier. If you're going to put in that work, you deserve all the accolades, all the credit that comes along with it. But understand what else comes along with that: a lack of privacy, a lack of discretion on people on behalf of those who want to see you. So you can't live an ordinary life. And unless your parents were famous, you can't talk to them about what it was like to just try and get a moment for you. In order to do that, you got to go to the bathroom. I don't think that's a life you want to live. Sit down on your phone just so you can exhale, like no cameras, no microphones.
This kind of reminds, and this was like a quick conversation that happened actually today at dismissal time, and I'm like, shit, I think he was serious too. The mindset, like it was a girl. She was so excited. She was like, "Oh, I get to I don't know if the boy had called her or something." She said something in regards to seeing her boyfriend, and one of the boys is like kind of like shut the hell up. Well, like why she so damn happy? Then I said, why you hating on her happiness? And he was like, oh man, he's like, I don't. He said, I prey on people downfalls, and I was like, wow. And then he was like, no, for real. He was like, and because I wanted to extend the conversation to see, but he was actually getting on the bus. But when I'm looking at his facial expressions, he's like, no, no shit. For real, Mr. Glover. He said, I pray. I don't get down like that, whatever. I pray on people downfalls, whatever. And I'm like, man, I think he's serious. I think he's serious. And then I was like, because why can't you just be happy for her happiness? He's like, nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. And I'm like, where do you think he probably got that? that's probably conditioned in his mind, and that might be like something hears in his family or hear negative things going on. So to see somebody happy, uh, like it's like kind of like what the fuck you so happy about, and I probably will touch bases with him just to kind of pick his brain to see if it's more to it. Well, I say that, but then I get tied up with get pulled in so many directions. But it was just interesting because I think that kind of ties into the subject matter that far as parents needing to grow up and if they're not dealing with some of the things that they went through, how how it impacts your children. And simply the title of the show, Raising the Bar, parents growing up for their kids. So sometimes you got to step up and grow up for your kids, whether you say, you know what, I've been working this dead and job. I think I'm gonna go back to school, or I think I'm gonna go work, get a couple certifications and stuff. And if they see mom and dad doing that, they like, okay, okay, uh, they trying, they doing something different. Or if you're that parent that's always out on the club scene or the bar scene, then all of a sudden you say, you know what, I'm over this, whatever. I need to spend more time at home. I need to be more attentive to them. They're getting older. And all of a sudden they say, hey, mom, dad, you don't go out no more? You ain't got no friends no more? And you say, nah, I just wanted to change. I just wanted to be around you guys more and do more stuff with y'all. And they like, they might say, that's cool. That's cool. They may appreciate that, but it's growth. Now you might be used to certain things, and of course it's going to be so uncomfortable times because you used to, hey, hanging out, going out for decades, but then all of a sudden you say to yourself, you know what, I want to change, I want to do better for my kids. Then you make that change. Christine Lowe has said schools used to teach home economics, cooking, and so on. When I was coming up, boys from time to time would take home economics. They had wood shop, auto mechanics. Yeah, we said that was the part of the destruction of the schools anyway, especially for young boys because they could adapt the trade and they could come out making good money um, at 19, 20, and didn't have to necessarily go to a 4 year school and may have end up making more money down the road than somebody who went to a 4 year school. But no, they kind of made that into specialty programs. Or you have to apply. You have to take a test to get into those programs, magnet programs. When before, all this stuff was taught, at least basic stuff was taught in the schools. Any kid had an opportunity to take it. You didn't have to apply for a program. I mean, even try, people went there, they had a lot of different programs, but certainly if somebody probably wanted to go to Trot, and that's where, if they were zoned to go there, they could have went there. But I think that was more of like that was probably the school that specialized in
Yeah.
um, all of those different trades, cosmetology, and all this stuff. But certainly the regular high schools at Lacell, they had horticulture, they had auto mechanics, they had different programs as well as Niagara Falls High School. But now now barely seldom they remove some of those programs, and then they wonder why some of the behaviors are the way that they are because a lot of boys are good with their hands, so they would love a course like that on how to fix cars and how to do this, or even cooking and home economics and things of that nature. But I know we're in a budget crunch, so it's no way impossible that all of that stuff could be brought back in there. We just financially don't have it anymore. That's what they'll say.
The funny thing about that is they should have never been removed from the beginning. I know Buffalo still has Hutch Tech, which teaches courses that are very similar to what Trot used to. Um, but it really is. It's the powers that be. Either they didn't care or they weren't really fully aware of the damage that was being done to innocent youth when those programs were being removed. So not only do you have a group of kids who aren't necessarily scholastically at the top of their class, that's not what they were geared for anyway. Like you said, most of these kids do well with mechanical work because they can see a problem, they can fix it, they can address it. They're great with their hands. I mean, let's take the Amish for example. They make fantastic furniture and they sustain their lifestyles by doing so. Who's to say that we can't get a group? There could not have been a group of black males who similarly produce a great product. But because they never got the beginning, there will never be a middle to the story or an end to a story. There won't be a story at all. But I want to mention something about parents growing up. And although this has been shown to be erroneous, get this out of my ear. This has been shown to be erroneous over the over spring break in Houston. There was a rumor that there was 42,000 venereal or STD tests. Now, we talked about Gen X's excursion during spring break. Freak Week. How many of you want to bet that those parents who went to Freak Week never spoke about it with their kids? Never say, hey, if you go out of town during spring break while you're in college, protect yourself. Matter of fact, don't even go there. Go somewhere else. Go where you're not going to have to worry about all that nonsense because that's all it is at the end of the day. And I'm not saying you can't have fun, but you got people down there who are being reckless. Pregnancies can occur. You don't want to be among that group. So I'm telling you now, and I'm telling you because I used to go and I know what goes on. Don't go down there with them folks doing that dumb stuff, and then you'll be immortalized as one of those people don't want to be on the tape a generation later talking about, oh, I'm gonna sue. What are you gonna sue now? You weren't trying to sue then. You was showing your behind, twerking on the top of cars, sitting in the back of a car with the sunroof down, drinking, maybe underage. These are the things that a lot of parents engaged in. Never tell their kids, and that's part of the bigger problem is that a lot of parents aren't honest with their kids about the things that they did. So how do you know what's age appropriate, and how do your kids know what's age appropriate if you never sit down and talk to them about it? That you're ashamed, you're embarrassed. Shouldn't be. You weren't then. I've always said, and it never came to pass that if I produced a child out of wedlock, I would stop dating until that child came of age. No, that's me. I don't expect anybody else to walk the path that I do. The crown on my head is kind of heavy. Some people aren't built to carry that, and that's okay. But at the same point in time, if parents aren't built to carry the weight of the things that they've done, then what makes you think that their kids are going to be? After all, most of us are in some way, shape, or form, we're prodigies of our parents. So if your parent didn't excel at certain things, is it beyond reason to think that the child's not going to excel at certain things? Because if they're going to excel, then somebody's got to teach them. And clearly, it can't be the parent. Because the parent doesn't have the attitude. And that sometimes is passed on to the child. Well, I didn't like math, so I can't teach you math, and it don't matter anyway. You're gonna be able to do this, this, and this. Wait a minute. You're going to deprive your child of a full education because you weren't good at a particular topic or you didn't like your teacher, so you don't think that's worthy to learn. It is not a good look. It is not conducive for your child to be a well-rounded student if you don't think certain topics and subjects are important. And I've known some parents to be like, look, I don't care. I can't play a musical instrument. Why should you play one? What if that child turns out to be a pianist, a concert pianist, traveling on tour with musicians playing the piano, or playing the keyboard, or playing an instrument? You literally you deprive that child of a piece of culture and a chance to live and travel. There are people who pick up parts in a concert. Like I was case in point, I was watching the Billy Joe concert. I think it was 2 hours 15 minutes, rock solid, straight through. They had a young sister back there, percussionist, bongos, keyboard, um, guitar. She played it all. Now just imagine if she had a parent that didn't think to allow her to take those lessons or anything of that nature. She's not there. Somebody else would be there, but she's not there. And we have a lot of parents that do that. Oh, you ain't got time for for that extracurricular activity. You better get in the books. And what I found out about myself is that when I was involved in active sports activities, my grades increased. I went from being a C plus B minus student to a B plus student, almost A's, because I realized I had to do well academically to play. As weird as it sounds, that was something I looked back on after I graduated. I was like, that's crazy. I did better academically when I didn't have time to BS because I know I wanted to play. And they will tell you coming out of late cell, if you didn't have the grades, you couldn't play. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it's a lot. I want to make sure I address these comments. Daphne says senior citizens have a high rate of STDs. Them senior homes be getting their freak on too. Yeah, I can imagine. Or either some of the staff getting it on with the seniors as well. I know that happens too. As crazy as that may be. Uh, Moving along, she said, yes, as students, wasn't good at math, but I put forth an effort and had tutors, and it was greatly important for my boys to be at ease with math, foreign language, and science, and especially vocabulary skills. Christine Lowe said it was economics. I wanted to learn piano. My mother couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it, and my daughters learned to play the flute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you can see, how sometimes certain things can hinder our growth. It could be financial related. It could be your belief system in something, and I guess for future generations, it's about just opening your mind and always saying that I want my children to be better than I was.
Hmm?
And I think that's the ultimate goal, that you want to put them in positions to be better than what you had. And certainly in our generation, we have the tools. And I remember at one point, uh, they were saying that this generation, that our uh, generation of children will probably be the generation that makes less than what we make. And that's a scary thought, but also I could see it as well because many of them don't want to put in the work. They want something fast. They want something. They want instant gratification. And you talk to some of them, they all think they're NFL, NBA players, or they think they're social media influencers or graphic designers. Not saying that they can't do it, but they don't want to put in the work to get there. Uh, and this work that's required, as Herbert said earlier, it's work that's required, and they got to want to put in work. So like I often tell my 8th graders, man, y'all don't understand. This is y'all last little free pass for stuff. Once y'all hit them high school, walk through them doors, it's on. It's on. What you were supposed to have been doing was practicing now to prepare yourself for high school. Now, I'm one to say high school doesn't really prepare you for college. It's not aligned together. And I've been saying that from someone who worked at a college for 10 years that high school, especially a senior, if you think about it, these classes, they give these kids, they have like 20 assignments, uh, and they're graded on like 20, 25 assignments to get a grade. But when you go to college, you already know you're only gonna have 4 or 5 assignments. You you're gonna have a test. You're gonna have maybe a midterm. You may have a quiz. You may have some type of research thing, and you're gonna have a final. You got 5 opportunities, and so to me, you would design students' senior year similar to that. Maybe maybe not just limited to 5, but damn sure won't have 20, 25 assignments. You may have 10 assignments. You got 10 assignments to get show me your best work. And because what happened is, and I remember one of my principals had tasked me to get some of our um, students who graduated, who went on to college, to come back and have a panel discussion. And they were like, yo, kind of like this shit ain't prepare us for this college. It didn't prepare us. And one of the things they spoke about was the assignments. Like we had all these assignments and all these opportunities, but once we got to college, like if you mess up on a test or your midterm, shit, you already could say, damn, my grade is down to a C or D uh, at the most. So it's just not aligned. It's not aligned, and I think that because also, which a lot of high school kids don't understand, and I would tell them about it because I understood the thing called SAP, Standard of Academic Progress. Like you got a chart. You need to have this amount of credit hours and a GPA at this point. If you don't, you'll be placed on warning, probation status, or academically dismissed. So all your financial aid and all that shit, you still got to pay it back.
Yeah.
So you just because you slated to go to your school, you may only be there for a year, maybe 2 semesters, and you may flunk out. And I don't know, it may sound like a little hustle. Like they already might know, like half of these people ain't gonna get through it, but they gonna drop this major money or take out these loans that they gonna have to pay back. So again, it goes back to kids not being prepared to go there. So it's you know, and it's something that parents have to kind of be in tune with to say, hey, I already know. Now, I used to live and die by like college, oh, the experience, being on the college campus and all that stuff. Not so much anymore. I used to be one who I was just talking to one of my coworkers. I used to be like, oh, no, these athletes should stay for 4 years, get their degrees. Now I'm like, I believe one and done. Shit, if you can get there and you can get millions, get the hell out of there. Get the hell out of there. Go make your money because no matter what, at the end of the day, you can have a degree, but you're not going to be guaranteed no job that you're going to make as much money as you can as an 18 or 19. If you have financial struggles with your family and you have opportunity to make things better, go get it. Go get it, young son, with your or queens. Go get that money, whatever. You can always go back and get your degree if you feel
Right.
like, I want to accomplish that. But go get that money while the getting is good. So my whole mindset has changed, and I would tell any young boy and girls too: if you got a trade, you got a skill, go get it. Don't worry about that 4 year thing. That trade and go get that skill, and you see that you can make money no matter what. You can make money working for somebody, and you can make money on the side, and your money could be endless.
And that's what we mean by parents growing up. If a parent has never walked that path, they can't tell their child anything about that. The best that they can do, recommend that child to somebody else. But generally, people usually hang out with the same people who have the intellect and the intelligence they do. Rarely do you see somebody who's not that smart hanging out with people who are really smart. They don't have anything in common. They don't. They generally don't eat the same foods. They don't take in the same entertainment. Literally nothing they do is at a crossroads. Maybe sports. That's about the only thing where class and education don't matter. You'll find somebody who is overweight, poorly educated, if you will, sitting next to somebody who holds a master's and a doctorates. People say, "Well, how is that possible?" Because sports is an equal common denominator. In sports, you can have somebody that's not that smart dominate somebody that's smart. We see we see it all the time. Dexter Manley, illiterate, could not read, but you put him on the football field, he dominated. Why do you think you have all these coaches that used to get caught up in these recruiting scams with these kids, falsifying grades or getting them to a point where they would get a degree, but the degree was worthless. And now you got a kid out here who has a 4 year degree who is unemployable. They talk about they if you ever followed any college sports programs closely, they would talk about a team GPA of 2.67. That's barely above a C. How you got a team that 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 essentially isn't too intelligent?
See, it reminds me, and right now I might be eating crow because of some of the things that I hear. But I remember years ago, it was a post, and people were kind of jumping all over Floyd Money Mayweather about his money, and saying he can't read and all that stuff. And I was like, yo, evidently doing something right, because at the time he was on the on the track to be becoming a billionaire. I said, which one of y'all reading at the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th grade level? How much y'all make? I said, so clearly he has some markability. And I was like, and he went to school. I mean, he dropped out in high school to go to the Olympics. I said, but, and people were pissed. I can't believe you as a counselor, you're promoting it. Oh, I'm not saying that. But I also had to school him on this. You do know it's a lot of kids that's getting passed through that has individual education plans that's reading at the third or fourth grade level, that are graduating, and you know it by us. You go into the stores and you interact with some of these people, and you're like, the fuck is going on here? Whatever. Uh, they can't give you right change. They can't don't know how to social. It's just prime example. I was in some restaurant, and just the language they use, and I'm like, like they're not properly trained. They're I think they just show up and start working. And I'm sitting at the register and it's two they like young. They might have been like, well, I think they probably graduated from high school, but might have been in there like 18, 19, 20, 21. And the boy was talking to the girl, like, oh, why you dick eating so much? Why are you saying that? And you right right here in front of customers, like, but these is the things that these kids say, and I like unreal, like I don't have no clue or like who's supervising. I guess it didn't bother. I thought about it, but I hear it all the time, every day, all day. So I wouldn't have been like, young man, who's your supervisor? Who's your supervisor? It's a battle that I'm just not willing to have. But some people will, and you just never know who you might be waiting on, and you speak like that. But anyways, to go back to the Floyd thing, so I might be eating crow now because now they're trying to say, oh, he's going broke and all of that stuff, and he's selling out his assets. But you never know. That could just be stuff put out there. But I could see where his lifestyle may permit him to do that. But I just also feel that not everybody. Some people have a gift and they're able to go and excel and be a genius at certain things, whereas other people may not have that path. So if he is reading at the fourth or fifth grade level, he can certainly always get tutoring and learn how to read and do that down the road. But his gift was only permitted, it's time based. He can't be, you can't be a gifted boxer, you can't be a gifted NBA player or a football player all your life. You have a certain time frame that you have to get out and get it while you can do that. Let me see. So they're untrained. They hire a warm body to stand there. Yeah, that's true, and that's what it is—a warm body because they're not trained. They're not taking, in which is kind of sad because these people need to be trained. They need to be trained. They need to have a training, and like you said, it's just I guess the kids may say the same thing about education now when they make comments like, Mr. Glover, where y'all get these people off of Marketplace on Facebook? Where do y'all get some of these teachers from? And, and sometimes I may say the same thing. Like, I don't know, but you got a good you got a good point, whatever. And then the classic one is, how do y'all always have gym teachers, but they always fat and they out of shape, whatever. I don't know either. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a fat school counselor, so I guess it don't matter.
That's funny. You have to appreciate the irony in the whole thing, man.
So they make some. They're very observant on certain things.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but it's so apropos that where that's like, dare I say, an overweight basketball player. Now, yes, there were a few that did well, which only crystallizes the statement. You can't be at your best. I don't care if we're talking about academics. I don't care if we're talking about acting. I don't care what it is that we're talking about. You can't be at your best if your consistent day-to-day functioning is low. You can't always roll out of bed not prepared, not well rested, not nutritionally satisfied, and think you're going to perform with somebody whose daily life reflects that. Yeah, you're going to be able to push them a little bit. But when it comes time to perform, when it comes time to hit every mark, cross every I, dot every T. Yes, I said cross every I and dot every T. They gonna blow you away. And that's often that is the difference between someone like Michael Jordan, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, and your second tier players. When they show up, you get a game. There are no distractions. There are no excuses. That's why they used to say, hey, 80% of Michael Jordan is better than 100% of most players. Just was the fact because you knew what you were getting with them. Consistency. But it's hard to be consistent when the foundation that a person has isn't solid. And the only way you get a solid foundation is that it has to start young in life. You don't start to build a solid foundation when you're 30 years old. By then, your foundation is already set. Your mannerisms are already going to be set. How you think is already going to be set. How you react to situations, unless you undergo some deep, deep psychiatric evaluation and you retool yourself completely, that's set. That's why Christine said there's nothing but a warm body. They haven't been taught etiquette at home. They haven't been taught the proper way how to speak, what's appropriate here, what's not appropriate there. And when I say appropriate, I'm not talking about things that are taboo. I'm talking about things that are just appropriate, and not that because you've been taught from a young age. You've been taught not to use a knife as a screwdriver, even though we got some people that do it. You've been taught not to use a hammer to do certain things. You've been taught. Your parents saw to it that you knew you understood certain things because they were taught. They knew certain things. And they understood that to go somewhere in this world, to be somebody in this world, you needed the basis. Case in point, every president and first lady, without exception, every president and first lady, they receive etiquette classes before they deal with the British royalty. You know why? Because they don't want them embarrassed. You can look that up, and if I'm wrong, correct me. Why? Because as Americans, we don't treat the president as royalty. We don't treat the first lady as royalty. They're people. So if we want to say, yo, what's up, president? It's not considered to be disrespectful. Go over and speak to the queen like that. They're like, oh, how dare you speak to her like that? That's royalty.
I think it goes back, and I've spoken on this and made posts about it, that even though people are getting older, it's the way that some of you let your kids cuss and carry on and all that. Granted, I may swear, say some things around my mother, but I usually always follow it with, excuse my language. It's not like no brutal, like motherfucker this, bitch that, and all of that stuff, whatever. But some of y'all think that's cute, that your kids can, uh, your sons can call you up like, yeah, mom, she a bitch and this and that. Not cool, not cool. And definitely the bro, calling your mother bro, bruh, and all that stuff. But it doesn't help when some of you women are out there saying the same thing and talking like that. So you got to be mindful of that, because and they don't care. Like these kids, they don't care. It could be somebody 80 years old sitting there and they talking to them. They're like, bruh, like, what? Like, excuse me? Uh, so it's boundaries to that. If you don't teach them, if they can talk like that in front of moms, pops, what do you think they're gonna say to a
Yeah.
teacher or to a supervisor at a job? They're gonna come in like shit. It's okay at home, so why the hell I can't cuss in my class in front of a teacher, and why can't I call them bruh and all that? Because that's my mom's allow it, my dad allows. Well, typically it depends on the level of seriousness and focus of the dad, because most dads ain't trying to be buddy buddy with their kids. uh, and many of them, and I can't speak to. I only can speak to myself, and I certainly haven't did any. Uh, it's only based on my observation, so I can't. It's not like I got any statistics to report to y'all, but I know guys that men that's hard working and working all this stuff. They, they some of them be a man a few words, and they may be serious and locked in, so they're not trying to be buddy buddy. Granted, someone got silly personalities and all that stuff, but the kids kind of know, like, shit, dad ain't playing around. He ain't playing around. No, I know I
Mhm.
got to come different with him. But some of y'all, uh, moms out here trying to be best friends and trying to dress alike, and again, hanging out, and she's like my best friend. He's like my and that's a boundary issue. Whatever, you can have a close relationship, but please stop using that you're best friends with your kids. Let them have their own best friends. Let them go through that them trials and tribulations to kind of seek out someone that, because we all start off with a crew of people, but then the as you get older, that circle kind of gets smaller, and then you may have one person that fits all the criteria. They're funny, they're trustworthy, uh, they're smart, they give you good feedback, and that might be your go-to person. But let young people have that opportunity to get there and say, my mom's my best friend. Or you say the same thing. My daughter's my best friend. Get a life.
Yeah, I've
Get a
always found that to be
life.
strange. I'm sorry.
Life.
I just could not imagine, even though she's no longer with us, I could not imagine my mother being my best friend. Because guess what? I'm not going to play basketball with my mother. I'm not going out with my mother. I'm not doing some things with my mother in the same room. Yes, I said it. I'm not going out drinking with my mother. Now, my father pretends to sit down and watch some football, baseball, maybe basketball. Might come home, so give me a cold one, give me a beer. He might sit there and drink beer. We might watch the 6 o'clock news. We might talk about current events, geopolitics. But that's about as far as that's gonna go. Because there's a song called "Cats in the Cradle" by the original is written by John Stevens, I think it is, and the song goes on and it chronicles a child's birth into the world, into adulthood, and he talks about it. Sure, nice chat with you. You know, can I borrow the car keys because I got a date? Something to that effect in the song. And at the end of the song, the father says, "You know what? My son turned out to be just like me. My boy turned out to be just like me. Things to do, places to go, people to see." But once he got to be a teenager, that I love you, but I'm not spending any time with you. I got things I got to accomplish. I got places that I want to go. I got women that I want to see. So I mean, there's nothing wrong. Uh-oh. Nothing like good. Um, there's things that people want to accomplish on their own. There's things that people want to do on their own. In the absence, I'm sorry, pardon me. I'm just distracted by the fire department outside. Um, that they want to do on their own, that they want to achieve on their own, and in order for that to occur, you need to disassociate yourself from your parents. So whether that means going away to college, that means going away to the military, that means moving out of their home into an apartment with your friend, you guys branching out on your own, incurring some debt, trying to make it. You have some of these parents that don't want their children to do that. So they will try to make it as comfortable for them as they can at home. Why? Because that means there's less money that the parent has to spend. So they know this kid is going to get a reasonably good job. Why? Because the kids went to college. Oh no, you don't have to move out, little Jimmy. You can stay here. You can keep that room. Just give me a little something at the end of the month. Now the boy, he might be a self-starter, but he says, sounds like a good thing to me. Until one night he might start moving some furniture, and mother said, "Hey, look, y'all was too noisy in the last night. You got to keep it down. I got to get my sleep." He said, "Well, wait a minute. If I'm gonna pay to stay here, I'm gonna bring my people through." And that's when your conflicts start to arise. That's when the son gets in it with the mother's boyfriend and somebody ends up getting hurt. Because, as David talked about earlier, there are no boundaries. Now, there's a way that kind of situation can be mitigated if the parents and the kids understand finances, understand real estate. They say, "Hey, look, I'm getting older. I'm not making that kind of money. You coming into some money. Why don't we go look into buying a split level duplex? I'll take out the loan. You can pay me the mortgage. You got your home. I got mine. That way, when I age, you can check on me. You don't have to put me in a nursing home. I got mine. We can. I'll pay to have my care subsidized." Those are the things that parents talk about with the kids. Those are the discussions that are being had at Sunday dinner. What are we going to do when mom is too old to take care of herself and dad's not around? Or vice versa. Do we want to put them in the home? Most people don't, but they're kind of compelled to because nobody wants to step up to the plate. We were fortunate in our family that our mother didn't have to go that route. She passed, stayed with one of her children. But I realized not everybody's going to be that fortunate, and they're going to see some parents who transitioned in an elderly care facility.
And that probably would be the ideal setup that you could have as somebody get older around family and loved ones, that there's always somewhere there to check on, even, if it's a duplex and it's the mother, and if you're a family, married family, and you got children, that somebody is always there in the household really to check on moms or dad. That would be the ideal situation. What we often talk about is parents say, "Oh, once you turn 18, oh, I can't wait till they turn 18." To do what? To do what? Uh, Again, unless they're going on somebody's college campus, and even then, they're coming home for breaks, uh, and coming home for the summer, and So a lot of times we condition to say that, and we probably need to change the tone on, like, oh, you 18, I'm 18, I'm grown. Grown where? I doubt it. I doubt it. So that whole mindset needs to be changed, because we know that even you have older people, if moms and dad is established, a lot of times people move out and they end up right back. One or the other is always a rotating thing. One of the family members always circling back. One of the siblings back staying with mom or dad, even shit up until shit in their 30s. They spinning a block, coming back. And now if the parents are in a position and say, "Hey, come on back. No need to stress. Get up, get back on your feet. Try it again. You can come here. Give me what you can." Uh, Now it's a different where, like her mentioned, where it creates turmoil is when the mother or father, the mother needs it, and now you come in, you're eating up the food, light bill is higher, gas, electric, everything is higher. Shit, you ain't got a car now. You got to use her car. You're putting wrecking that, putting wear and tear on that, running out the gas and all that in your back. That creates friction. But if you come in there and they're like, okay, take your time, do what you need to do. You saving a few dollars. You're also helping me out because I'm getting a little older. I don't like to drive as much. And you making sure things is kept around the house. That's a different situation. But things have to be set up like that. Typically, if something is forced and both part like it's a desperate situation, I don't know how the outcome usually works in those situations, because the child doesn't want to be there, or not even child, the young person doesn't want to be there, and sometimes the parent like, oh, I did not want to see them back here because it's always some shit when they
Yeah.
come back here. So it depends on, like, there's no one size fit all model. It depends on that type of situation. But to add to the topic, and going, we talked about boundaries. One of the things, kids learn from what we do, not just what we say. That's an old adage. Don't do as I say, do as I do. And if doing is an action word. So if they see you doing certain things, and if they know that, man, dad, granddad, mom, they always got up and go to work. That's all they know. And whatever they got, they worked hard for it. Some of that is going to seep in. Can't say for every sibling or every child, because you might have one that just don't want to do nothing. But the brothers and sisters, they all went to college, went and got a trade, got their own homes, got their family, and you might always have that one that struggles, can't keep a job, ain't trying to keep a job. And in those cases, shit, no matter what you've did, that was that low percentage that just didn't work out, and they didn't. I ain't gonna say they failed you. They could get back on track. Hopefully, hopefully it ain't too late.
You ain't
And
got to call them. I'm gonna say they didn't launch though. They still stuck on the. They're still stuck on the launch pad.
yeah, and it depends on how much you enable them and all that, and they still on the nipple, and you won't let them off. Then, hey, you might create that 40, 50-year old person who never grew up. But again, I think the whole point to all this, we have to sharpen our tools. We have to be on point. We have to realize too, even that when you're in your 50s, like, hey, man, I might have to do something else. Oh, I might have to switch gears and do this, because ultimately you want to be in a position to be able to be a support system to your children and to anybody else. You want to be in that position. You don't want to croak. You don't want to pass away. And they like, oh, my dad passed away. My mom passed away. We need $10,000 for this service. GoFundMe and all that. You don't want to be in that position.
And what you will see, especially with parents, let's take a family of five, mother, father, three children. All the children now have cycled through university. They've gotten their degrees. They moved on. Some have gotten married, had kids. Each has their own residence. What's the first thing that the parents do? They downsize. Oh, we're selling the home. The kids are like, why? We grew up in that place. Well, you guys aren't gonna maintain it. We don't have anybody that wants to keep it in the family. So we might as well get our coins and go somewhere else where we can enjoy a life. We must, they'll say, hey, we can do what David's doing, get a sprinter van and we can drive the country. We can vacation here, we can do this, we can do that. And that's how you know that parents don't want their kids to come back home. So they remove quote unquote the safety net. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's 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 a part in life that hopefully those people can reach. So they say, we can get we bought the home in 1978 for 25,000. We're gonna sell it now for 98. We can take that money, we can reinvest it in a business because we don't want to get hit with a huge capital gains tax. I said, yeah, that sounds great. Or we can go to Florida, buy us a smaller home, and do whatever with the money. I mean, there's ways, and you'll see people doing it, and a lot of people won't know why. Why? But then with the kids coming back home, they spent 20 some odd years, 23, 24, paying their way, put them through college. They say, hey, look, we want to live our own lives now. We don't want to be saddled to saddled or burdened with the care of anybody else. So, well, what about your grandkids? You can send the grandkids over. We'll take care of them. We got enough space. We have an extra bedroom. Grandkids can stay there for a while. At an Airbnb, these people are noisy as hell. But yeah. So you will see that among parents who are empty nesters, and they say, hey, look, we don't know anybody anything else. We take care of everything that we need to take care of. We do right by our children. They have degrees, homes, they're successful. And that's how you know, for the most part, that those parents have done right by the children. Because the children are a success story. And that's how you know parents have done their job. Is not by what the kids look like. Kids can look like $1 million. Can they speak well? Can they maintain a home? Can they go out in public and not embarrass themselves? That's when you know. That's when you know.
Yeah. And that's true. That you giving them the skills, giving them, they got a persona and they represent you well. And people will say, "Hmm, who's your father? Who's your, I know you look like, oh man, yeah, your mother, your father, they were solid.
Mhm.
Some good people. I worked with them, smart, such and such. So you always want to, as a child or as a parent, you always want to represent yourself well because you're a reflection of each other. there's no, and again, I always say this too. On the other end, when your children are proud of you, they don't mind you showing face, um, or especially you know, because it's crazy when you're at the middle school level. So you know, that's one of the things. Like if you're a boy and your mother comes to the school and shit in this day and age, the little girls be checking out the moms. Man, you seen such and such? Man, she had a fatty. She looked good. And you're like, huh? So not only the boys, but the girls admire the person too. So as a kid, you kind of like, yo, go ahead with that. But in still, you like, well, shit, I know my moms look good. Uh, so when they come through, you okay. But on the other end, not to be, you know me, I'm gonna give it to you raw. So you just got to take it. On the other hand, when you had that donut making mom, big arch cheeseburger coming through there on a walker and all of that shit, and they only 40 something, and they coming through. The kids like, yo, who that? That's your mother? Nah. Huh? Another person, oh, I know you're not lying. That is your mother. Uh, nah, be like, they like, be quiet, be quiet. They embarrassed. They're embarrassed. You're not the reflection that they wanted. You let your health go. You let your health decline, and you coming in there huffing and puffing, hanging over the side.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's the last thing. That's it, and you know what the funny part is? It seems to be worse with male students. Mom, you can't come to school wearing a bonnet. You can't come to school wearing PJs. You're gonna embarrass me. And they still do it. They don't care. They say, boy, you better shut your goddamn mouth. You shut that got in trouble. I wouldn't have to come up here. Check your mute, Dave. You wouldn't have to come up here in a bonnet and PJs, and I wouldn't have to embarrass you. So I mean, it's a tough situation for boys at at that junction of school because they don't want to be picked on because of their mother. They don't want to be the butt of the joke because their mother didn't look right. She ain't the hot mom that everybody wants a piece of. She ain't Stifler's mother, and that's what he's stuck with. So it's a lot of things that go that particular route that
Hold
boys
on,
have.
Herb, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So
Yeah,
I missed that whole thing, that whole
I was saying,
transcript
that
what I was just
mom, why
talking
you come
about.
to school wearing a wearing a bonnet? Some boys, whether they acknowledge it or not, they want their mother to look like Stifler's mother. That's why that part in the movie in the series garners so much attention because no son wants to have the quote unquote ugly mother. Yes, the boys want
Yeah.
his friends to be the envy of the school, but he don't want everybody talking to him about it. He don't want his mother out there showing off the goods, if you will. Come on, mom, put some clothes on. You can't be doing that around my friends. They talk about you like that. I don't like it. And she goes, well, what you man? You want me to dull my attractiveness?
Yeah.
So it's a tug of war, man. And for lack of a better way to look at it, women gonna be women, married, single, attractive, unattractive. They still want attention.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to be mindful of that in your, like I said, we represent each other. So it's important. So when you think about, oh, I just want to run into school with my pajamas, your bonnet on, and all that stuff. Nah, you want to think twice about doing that. You want to say, oh, I can't go in there. I'll be back up there. I'm about to go home and get changed. I'm just dropping you off right quick, and I'll be back because you want to represent yourself. And even me, like if I get ready to run out somewhere, I typically I don't have nothing like I just throw on like some pajama pants, sweatpants. I usually get dressed uh for the day. And it could be just something with jeans and a button down, nice sneakers or some wallaby, something, but I'm going to be dressed, smell good, try to look good, and because I'm out in the public's eye. And I don't have that mindset. Well, I just was running out here, or I just put this on to run out. Because again, you never know who you're gonna run into. And in this day and age, again, shit, these people are quick to have their cameras out, quick to take pictures, and especially again with these middle schoolers. Yeah, look at Daquan mother, whatever, fat ass. Now they just snapped the picture and they didn't pulled it up and did a meme, and he in class and everybody giggling. And he's like, yo, man, why you take a picture of my mother, whatever? So that is your mother with her fat ass, whatever. And then, whole brawl. It's, it's, it's crazy, but it happens. It happens. So again, when you talk about boundaries or being the best that you could be for your children, often chronicle the story when I said during COVID, and when I said I had gained weight, and I said I was in that big New Jersey mall, and I was like, yo, my back was killing me. I like the mall scene to go through, browse through a couple stores. But at that point, when you get so big and your back start hurting you, I was this close to getting on one of them damn scooter things. And my son said, if you get on that, do not talk to me. Do not, I have nothing to say to you. And I
It's
said, Dad,
tough.
what?
It's
And
tough.
he said, cuz
I'm
you
in
too young. You're too young for that. You too young for that. And he probably recognized me as somebody. Like, my dad walk. He go hoop on Sundays. He play basketball. And now all of a sudden, like an out of shape cop. And I just don't have no words for you. And it hit me. And I think after that, I came back and I lost like 50 pounds. And because, again, growing up for your kids, raising the bar, like when your child tells you, don't say nothing to me, they just basically say, shit, I'm embarrassed. You're embarrassing me. So I just don't understand how, again, when I see some of the stuff I see on social media, when you see these grown ass women twerking, rolling their asses and all that, and you got grandkids and kids, that shit ain't never cool. It's never cool. It's never cool. If you do it amongst your friends in privacy, fine. That's your little joking thing. But when you decide to say, hey, I'm putting this on camera and you rolling your ass doing all that shit, it's not cool at all. And maybe if you're in your 20s, and even when you get to your late 20s or 30s, some people start changing or start saying, shit, I'm 30 years old, or whatever the case is. But it's never cool to be posting yourself with videos that you drunk as hell, falling over, throwing up, doing all that type of stuff, and you on camera. And granted, your kids may not say anything, but well, some kids do say, "Man, could you get off social media? Could you stop?" When they say that, that's really letting you know you're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing me. But they may know, like, I can't only could say so much to mom or dad, or without them getting out of pocket. So, but they're asking you to stop. Please stop. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing me. And sometimes you got to grow up for your kids.
Yeah. And a lack of success, especially with some parents, drives that kind of behavior. So if your parents were too busy or too busy, kind of oxymoron, if your parents were busy with you, especially if you grew up in a single mother household, she's going to use that moment, that time, to get back what she thinks she's lost. Now, this is not necessarily to blame anyone. This is just show you the mindset of a lot of women. They want that attention. They want to feel youthful. So what? They're in their 40s. They say, hey, 40 is the new 30. You say, nah, ma, 40 is 40. You're starting to wrinkle. You just don't see it yet because you're in the mirror and you're in the sun and you're laid out on the lawn. You got a nice tan. You're ready to, you got to stop this nonsense. I mean, all it does is it puts undue stress on me, and it's gonna make you look like you desperate for something. So it's a stop. Don't make it any worse. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And we kind of yeah, I get the thrift of this, and I'm not gonna be myself, not gonna belabor um the point. I'm just thrilled that I have a day and a half left for time to recharge and get back for that last fourth quarter of dealing with these eighth graders and their behaviors and some of their parents' behaviors and all that stuff that's headed. But I'm built for that. So I'm not going to belabor the point tonight, but you already know that this stuff don't go away. It doesn't change. I always mention the great Dr. Pepper Lardo said, don't matter what book you put it in, whether it's on paper that's crinkled or whatever. It don't change. These things don't change. It may enhance. These same issues been around since the beginning of time. It just it just got more modernized. So it's all gonna come back around full circle, no matter what. And at the end, with this subject tonight, it's about respect, growth, being uncomfortable, and being the best that you could be as a parent. That hope that you instill things that your child could be the best that they can be, because one day they're going to be a parent, and you want nothing better for them to say, man, my dad always said this, my mom always said that. And I'm going to give you one more thing for my son. I always used to tell him when he was younger, like, dude, y'all here hooping, you stronger than these dudes, you stronger. I changed up the basketball league he was in. I said, you got the broad shoulders, make them feel that shit, make them feel it, punish them, give them that wood on the court. Nah, he wanted to settle for threes, jack up stuff, jack up threes. And I like, dude, you can get any shot you want if you go to the cup. And but then, man, then we go back and forth, go back and forth. Just go back and forth. Like we wouldn't even be speaking after one of his games. But then as he got older, he said, and he was hooping, like, dad, now I understand what you were saying. That I try to utilize my body now more when I'm playing, and some one of the guest oppositions was like, "Yo, like, oh, I see you be working using your body to hoop. You be using it." And then he said, "So it reminded me of what you had been telling me when I was younger." Because I was like, "Shit, make them feel it. Make them feel it. You settle it when you out here throwing up threes where I'm telling you, yo, use your body down low." And at a point, shit, you'll be unstoppable because then you'll be like, shit, I ain't getting in his way. Why you think? Shit, when LeBron James go downhill, they ain't getting in his way. What's his name for Michigan? Number 23.
Like,
Uh,
yeah,
Vax,
the other guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Waxel, whatever. Lindenberg, whatever. Ain't nobody trying to really get in that freight train with
Yeah.
whatever. So certain things a parent may tell you and you may not understand at the time, but you want to be that parent that your kid will say, damn, you used to always say that. Even when it comes to finances, it may come to jobs, say be on time, make sure you keep your wardrobe up, make sure you stay tidy, needy, well groomed. These are skills that you want to teach your children that they come back and say, man, my dad or mom hit that dead on the spot. And shit, if they don't got nothing to ever say, if they got nothing that they ever quoted or nothing they ever said or did or no personality traits or whatever, I don't know. That's not a good look. It's not a good look. So that's my closing count, man. Be the best that you can be. So, and essentially, that your children can be the best that they can be, and hopefully they take something that you given them, that you try to drive home, and they try to use that for further generations, and you keep them powerful words going on and on through doing and not just saying.
I agree. Your kids are more likely to replicate what you do as opposed to what you say. That's why they say, the proof is in the pudding, because the pudding shows up time after time, day after day, month, year. It's there. The ingredients for success work with the ingredients you have. You produce a grade A product, people respect it because they have no choice. You put in the work, you're showing up, just like we do every Monday. Proof is there. 500,000. Rolling Georgia.
Got that right. All right, folks. That's it, everybody. Spring break time for many. Be out, be safe, act accordingly. Always pay attention to your surroundings. Make sure you go into the right surroundings and just be safe, man. Enjoy the time, and though some people will still be working, but the weather may change and there may be some good days. Enjoy that.
It was
Enjoy the
60
weather,
here today.
enjoy the
I'm like
time,
walking down the street. I'm like, God damn.
and that's a good
I know it's gonna
thing.
be cold in the morning though, so it don't even matter what it is right now.
It's supposed to be 80 coming up these next couple of days, and it's supposed to slip down. But again, enjoy the time. Don't get caught up in that whole thought process. Oh, when it gets hot weather, you got to cut up. You don't got to. You ain't got to act a damn fool because it gets hot outside. You don't got to.
Just
But
turn on those
enjoy each
sprinklers,
other.
run through it,
What you
turn on the
say?
garden hose, and soak your kids. But don't.
Yeah.
One thing before I go, we understand, David and I, because we've been that age. We understand the desire to be among your peers. But if you know, and you know that your kids are hanging around a bad element, tell them. Them people you hanging out with don't mean nothing but trouble. You might be doing them the biggest favor that they have never really realized that they needed. Because some kids, let's face it, some kids don't want to be with the popular crowd, but they're afraid of being ostracized because nobody generally has their back. That's where you come in. Have your kids back. Give them
And to
the ability to
piggyback,
stand up. Go ahead,
and to
Dave.
piggyback on that shit, as adults, sometimes we could tell each other that you may still socialize with people and all that, especially if you're in a relationship or whatever, close friendships. You can say, "Oh, that person right there you've been around, they don't fucking like you. They
Mhm.
jealous of you. You don't pay attention every time you say something or they do this. Stop hanging around people that you know jealous of you." Or as one of my students said, they pray for your downfall because there's people praying on your downfall. Stop being around them folks. Just because you've been around them for 20 years, 15 years, y'all did activities together and all that shit, at a certain point, it's called growth. Growing up for kids, growing up for yourself, that you say, them little snarky remarks they making and saying this and every time trying to get a shot at me. I ain't trying to deal with that shit before I knock somebody out. So before you have to resort to that, stop being around, cut them people off. Again, that big wooden spoon that's hanging over some of y'all self, feed them with that shit. They hungry, feed them with it from a distance. Here you go. From a distance, I'm hollering at you. And you'll find more peace in your life. With that said, we out. On to the next one. Everybody be well, be great. We'll see you next time.
Take
Peace.
care.